We're gonna jump straight into a map, T15, with a bunch of modifiers, as I want to showcase my day 2 characters. Essentially on stream today, I run rarity setups with 0 resistance, and people were saying, am I going to run this for the endgame? Obviously, I don't want to do that, because that setup is very squishy, but keep in mind, I did run that setups from tier 1 all the way to tier 15, where I start dying a little bit. Anyway, we're not gonna talk about that. But what we are going to talk about is how to get tanky on the wolf setups on a budget. We are going to use a secret unique ring, but don't fast forward yet. We're also going to talk about armor and ES and how to solve tankiness with this setups to get a tons of ES as well. This is only 3 ascendancy points and I haven't go for crit yet because I do think it requires a bit more budget, so I want to have this medium versions for you guys to catch up and follow so you guys can have fun. If day 1 is about chasing the dreams with rarities, day 2 is all about surviving long enough to farm the content. Alright, so the first thing we're gonna talk about is my current gear, and I know your question is gonna be, why do I have 2 life flasks? You're gonna have to find that out in the stream. But yeah, for my gear, I'm using a roughly, I think this one is about 400 DPS, or maybe a bit less actually. It has physical damage, which is what you're looking for. And the other stats, you can look for elemental damage with attack or flat elemental damage. Ideally, you want as much physical damage as possible, and also attack per second should be at least 1.4 in my experience for this to feel good. A little bit less is okay. And but the rest of the gear is armor and ES as promised, even though I do have fully flat ES on here and fully armor on here. This is because I have Iron Slipper on the boots for plus armor per 1 item ES. And then for the helmets, I have Runic Helms, so I get plus 1 maximum ES per 8 armor. Besides that, we are running armor and ES body armors and glove. And the stats on here is mainly you're looking for high amount of armor and ES as much as you can. Obviously, you want to have cap all your elemental resistance, and they all come from rare gear, so it should be relatively easy. Chaos, you can choose a cap or not, but usually they are more expensive, so getting to a certain amount is as high as you can should be okay. On your glove, ring, or weapons, you want to have at least 1 line that has leech physical attack damage as life. It is important in our setup as a form of recovery. And I also have recover maximum life on kill as well. This is mainly for the Blood Magic Keystone. People ask a lot of questions on how do I sustain, and this is how I sustain. I have recovery, I have leech, so just these 2 will be enough. And also I'm running a secret ring. This is a grip of Kulimar, and it has one of the most important line that you can have in this build, at least in terms of budget. It has life leech from targets affected by abyssal wasting is instant. So imagine Azuri, Acuity, Glove, except that you always have this on because you don't need to crit, so this is a non-crit setup. Because this ring has inflict abyssal wasting on hit, so you always hitting and you always inflicting that. This means you always have instant life leech, at least 20 to 30%. And then the other stats is really up to you. I think you have two lines that is random, and you can choose to have different options. I'm just gonna let you guys know that the most important line is this, and I'll let you guys choose what the other one is. I chose to have recovery maximum life when enemy dies for even more recovery, and Marketil Shock, since more shocks mean more damage. But there are plenty of other options that is good as well, so don't feel like you need to lock yourself in because I picked these items. And beside that, I'm also running spirit on the amulets, so you want to have at least 30 spirit in my opinion, I think, on the amulet, just so you can run a weapon swaps to run Savage Fury on the second weapon set. The reason why Savage Fury costs 60 reservation and we only have like 67 spirits is because we are running a scepter together with a talisman. So yes, I took this note, Lord of the Wilds. It has a very nasty downside. But by spec into a lot of the wilds, we are able to grab these nodes right here. Also, by pathing to a lot of the wilds, we also get access to these armor and ES nodes, and they are pretty important in our setups. I will explain in a little bit, but by having these keystones, I will be able to equip a Stoic Scepters, which means I get access to Discipline Aura, and this one gives me flat total maximum ES, and yeah, these are very important in order to give us like a tons of ES to scale with. It is very efficient, it is also budget, and it works in our build perfectly. Alright, so I'm gonna do a little bit of clarifications on the passive skill tree, because I don't think the tree on Mobalytics is updated with end-to-end realities yet. What it does is, when you allocate a keystone, you can allocate these notables without being connected to your tree. But I can't set that up on Mobalytics, but I still want you guys to understand that I still want you to take all of these notables right here. So on the trees, I just click the line to lead it up to this node, but make sure you don't follow that. Anything within the keystone, you should allocate it without being connected to your tree. Unless I specify so, but yeah, we don't have a lot of them. So this one right here, we do have this one right here. Also pay attention that red line means it's on the first weapon set. I do have weapon set setups for weapon set 1 and 2. I'll cover that also. But yeah, this one we also take all the node here, but you can drop this and save a point. And for example, this one as well. All of these in the passive skill tree on Mobalytics, I'm going to path to it, but make sure you do not path to it. So that's the thing that you need to remember. Now, beside that, we have weapon set 1 and 2. What it does is set 2, I focus on skill effect duration, where we're running Thunderstorm, so our storm is going to last longer. And we also have Savage Fury on weapon set 2, which I don't think it is kind of intended, but we gain this as long as we are attacking, even on the first weapon set. And whether it's intended or not, this is a thing someone told me, coming from Wooly video, so credits to him, that's where I know it from. And Savage Fury, you have prolonged durations, and this setups, you have the buff up to about 17 seconds, and you can benefit from the weapon set 2 skill effect duration, so it's great. And weapon set 1, mainly we are grabbing damage. It will be shown as red line, and you can kind of see what it is. You can swap back and forth to see which node change. Of course, feel free to adjust accordingly if you don't like weapon set and you don't like to set it up. So let's talk a little bit on our defensive layer, because I think it's quite important. Now the first layer is just pure mitigations, coming from, for example, Black Skin. This one gives you armors whenever you take hits to your ES, and we have a bunch of them, which means we're gonna get a bunch of armor. And on top of that, we are also stacking armor to the point where I have around roughly 10k armor, which means I can mitigate a lot of the physical damage reductions, but also because I'm taking armor applying to elemental damage as well, which means I'm also reducing the elemental damage portion of the hit, and we have cap resistance, so we are actually not taking that much damage. Besides that, I'm grabbing a tons and tons of armor and increase maximum ES on the tree, which only be logical if you are going for armor and ES setups. Now, also at the same time, you need to see this note right here. It said increase and reduction to armor also apply to ES, which means that any and all of your increased armor nodes is also making your ES shield recover that much faster, and also it can recover sooner as well, so you don't have to be running around too often. It's gonna recover fast to full, and so you have certain amounts of sustain during boss fights. Talk about sustain, we are also running a source of life leech and also life on kill as well. So we have life on kill jewels right here. I recommend you to have at least 2% or maybe even a bit more to feel good. There's plenty of other stuff you can also get recover 2% of maximum life on kill, but because we are using blood magics, it is almost very important to have recovery. Of course, I was running from T1 to T15 just purely blood magics and using this flask. So flask is another big thing for you to kind of use to negate the downside of blood magics. This one have about 30% of the recovery apply instantly, so for panic buttons, but the other 70% is gonna smooth out over the course of like 3 seconds, so whenever you attack, you are going to not cost you any life, so it's gonna be a lot more comfy. And beside that, you also know we have a source of physical attack damage leech as well, and a source of instant leech right here, which I went over a bit earlier. But how do you actually get like good enough leech? There's a note right here that gives you gain 10% of damage, extra physical damage, which means that any damage you do in this build, whether it's elemental, you know, whether it's lightning storm or whatever, is going to be beneficial from this particular note right here, because you just gain that amount as extra fist. And if you know, fist attack can recover, and yeah. So that is pretty much going to be the videos. I just want to quickly go over share my day 2 setups that is tanky enough for endgames, so you guys can start pivoting and collecting gear, and you can scale your way up. Now, with that being said, I go into a bit more details on Mobalytics as well, so make sure you guys check the page. But other than that, thank you so much for watching, guys, and day 3 coming, crits is coming, and I'll see you in the next one.